Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Raj in Miami Gardens. I'm really glad to be chatting with you guys again. It's really been a long time. Tonight, I wanted to talk about the whole thing of image. I heard, I've been hearing a lot of, I've been listening to a lot of YouTube um, entries where people are talking about image and what's acceptable in the black community, what's acceptable in the particularly the black gay community. And as a person who is very tolerant and who is a big guy, considered a bear in the community, you're sensitive and alert to certain things that maybe an ordinary person may not be alert to. Um, because, I always tell people, whenever a layer of minorityness, for lack of a better term, is applied to you, you see things differently. I have these discussions, for example, with a lot of my white gay friends. When you're white, you're a white male, right? It may not be true in all cases, but particularly if you're a white male and you're upper middle class, right? You have this certain level of privilege allotted to you, whether you know it or not, whether you buy into it or not, whether you believe in that perception or not. That privilege is there. The world, excuse me, is your oyster. You can go anywhere you want. You can do anything you want, pretty much, because that sense of privilege is there for you. But then when you apply a layer of minorityness, a layer that puts you in the not so mainstream category, for example, gay, lesbian, overweight, things that are not considered to be positive, or that are considered to be on the fringes of society, then you start to see things differently, and you're not so privileged anymore. You might be privileged in certain circles, but overall you're not. So because I know that as a black gay man, and as a person who is slightly overweight, well, not slightly, I'd probably be considered very overweight in today's society, I am aware of some of these things, and you see some of these things. So I wanted to address that. I know that XenVanAdams had talked about it in one of his vlogs, where he talked about the whole thing about beauty bigotry, which I so agree with him that it definitely exists. And then I think, I don't remember his name, but from Black Gay World over in the United Kingdom, he talked about that in one of his most recent vlogs. In fact, I think he released it today, discussing the whole issue of, do all gay men have to be muscular to be considered attractive? And I'm not that pessimistic about the whole thing. I really do think that things are changing. I mean, I am certainly, and I talk about this in some of my other vlogs, I am certainly getting a lot more dates than I used to. I'm still a big guy. I've always been a big guy. The last time I was slim was when I was a child. And I am getting more dates than ever before. And I don't remember being this appealing maybe 10 years ago. I mean, I'm now 32. And I don't remember being this appealing in my 20s, though I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that my self-esteem is a lot more healthy now than it was before. I think that has a lot to do with it. And of course, you can't help when you are a different person inside, you can't help but let it come out. You see yourself differently, and so do other people. But I'm telling you, if you were just, things are definitely changing. And I think that there are a couple of reasons that I lay out why I think the whole image consciousness in the gay community is changing very slowly now, almost glacial, but it's changing. One of the things is the gay community is aging. It's aging. When you get older, you see things differently, and the community is aging. A lot of the guys now that you see at the nightclubs, at the events, are older men, because it's getting older. Remember, we are a subunit of the larger population. And the baby boomers now, you had gay baby boomers, hello. So the whole, just like how the country on a whole, society on a whole is changing, then is aging, excuse me. The gay community is aging as well. We're a subunit of the larger, of the whole. So of course it's going to affect us too. So we're aging. Secondly, I think with the whole obesity epidemic, where even wealthy people, people of power and influence, are packing on those little pounds too and developing those little love handles, those images are becoming more mainstream. People are seeing more body type diversity now in media. So it's becoming more acceptable to be a little bit pudgy. It's becoming acceptable to not be so thin and to not be so muscular. Things are changing. And so, of course, like I said, what happens in mainstream, it trickles down and it affects the smaller subunit of being gay and black. And that's definitely changing. Thirdly, I also see a general change in the whole perception of the muscular guy, the god, right? The body of a god, the Adonis kind of thing is changing as well. I think, in fact, in my experience, it is even taking on a negative connotation. Slowly but surely, being muscular, especially really muscular, is being associated with the gym rat who doesn't have a real life, who spends 3, 4, 5 days in the gym and is superficial and doesn't know what's going on. And once again, you could tie this back to the fact that because, the gay community is aging, people want more now. Is this muscular guy somebody that I can take home and live the rest of my life with and build a life with? Or is it just somebody that I can have for one night? You see, that is developing now. That concept is developing now in the gay community. Secondly, in this aspect, the muscular body is also there's a connotation being attached to it about the trick, right? The guy who sells his body to pay his rent and to live on. That's definitely a negative thing that a lot of people associate with the muscular guy. So what I'm suggesting is that I'm an optimist, and I see things differently. I really don't think it's as bad as people say it is, that whole image issue. I think, I'm not, don't get me wrong, I am not saying that it's a non-issue. It definitely exists, that whole beauty and body bigotry and stuff like that. It does exist, but I think that things are changing now. So I'm optimistic. I feel very good about it. I think that we should continue to have this dialogue. We should continue to have these conversations about image, because at the end of the day, it defines us, particularly in Western culture. Image is a big deal. And it's important, but we shouldn't allow it to define who we are, or to take away from who we are, or to necessarily add to who we are. Let's work on the inside. Let's work on this. And I think that everything else will fall into place. It's not about having muscles, it's about being healthy. It's not about, looking sexy. It's about being beautiful from the inside out. And everything else will fall into place. So this is Roger coming from Miami Gardens again. I'm so glad to see people online being active, talking about these issues. It really is appealing to me. And I really hope to hear from you guys. Bye.